Hey, see any hidden Mickeys?
Okay, I'm completely creeped out because I was floating in the pool and I kept feeling little things on me, and I find these little itty spiders, teeny tiny. And then I took a really good look around on my body, and I realized that the raft that we use, it hangs on a hook outside, and there was a spider nest in it.
Yeah, I see it too.
Now the babies had hatched, and they're climbing all over me in the pool, and it's disgusting. Oh, I'm creeped out beyond belief.
It's a baby spider. What the fuck are you worried about? Oh my god.
Ew! God. Oh. I just feel like they're all over me. I don't want to have to dive in the water. It's cold. I don't know what to do. Okay, so I'm wading in the pool to try and like sink my body down to the neck to get all the little baby spiders off of me because it's really bad. But oh my god, this is so cold. Oh god, I hope they're not in my hair. I think I'm gonna have to go under. I really don't want to go under. It's really cold, but I gotta get the spiders off me. Oh, I tripped on something. Oh, what was that? Oh my god.
I swim 87 laps every day. Through the swamp with the alligators. You are such a puss.
Hold on. Are they gone? Please tell me they're gone. Oh, God.
Lexi, get over it.
Okay, so overwhelming response that you want to hear more chapters of A Ghost of a Chance. So we're going to do some more of that, and the painting that we're sticking is the mermaid. And hey, if you don't want to wait on this, of course, buy the book. Support our very own Lori, and the link to her book is available in the description. So support each other, and it's really affordable. I believe it's like $5.99 on Amazon. So is that Amazon? I think so. Kindle? I don't know. It's in the link. I'm sorry. I'm not tech savvy, but I've got the link so you can buy it. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Chapter 7. Lacey then came forward, her arms full of coats, hats, and even a few wigs. "You're going to be my great aunt who we're sending home after a week's visit." Colleen laughed. "Oh, for the love of all things holy," Ben and Tyler finished. "The paparazzi aren't going to notice an elderly lady getting into a neighbor's car," Lacey said. "She's right," Ben said. "I've always wanted a daughter," Martin chimed in. "You have one," Ben shot back with a grin. "Bite me, Ben," Tyler answered back. "Shush, all of you. We need to get him into costume. I vote for the gray jacket with the shawl over his head. I think that will look the most nondescript," Lacey said. Ben nodded his head in agreement. It was all set. Lacey helped Tyler into the jacket, and his mother tied the shawl on for him, making sure it covered his blonde hair and most of his face. They decided that sunglasses would be overkill, but a cane would finish off the look perfectly. Tyler sat down and put his brown slip-on shoes on and put his sneakers into his overnight bag and let Ben take it down to Lacey's husband to put into the car. Tyler said goodbye to his mother and father and grabbed his satchel and headed for the door. Don't forget to bend over slightly on the way to the car. You're my elderly Aunt Gladys, you know. Gladys? Oh, geez, Ty groaned and headed down the stairs. They were lucky. The reporters who were camped out in front of the house and the paparazzi who were hidden behind cars, bushes, and even the garbage can barely gave him and Lacey a passing glance. Once they were in the car and headed out of the parking lot, they knew they were home free. Once they hit the freeway, Tyler took off the wig, hat, and jacket and looked and felt like himself again. The ride to the airport was filled with small talk about Tyler's plans once he got to Ireland. He told her he planned on being home within the month, and then he was going to go straight to the hospital to get the brain surgery he needed. He was surprised that she completely understood why he wouldn't want to wait. She wasn't a writer, but she was an artist who painted pictures and sets. She would never want to risk her brain until she'd finished her commissions. He gave her a quick hug and a big thanks when she dropped him off at the curb. He dragged his luggage to the outside check-in kiosk and waved to Lacey as she pulled out. Once inside the airport, he quickly called his mother to let her know that he had gotten to the airport without incident and to remind her not to leave his apartment until he was safely on the plane. "Hey, idiot-proof, you don't say bye to your brother, the one who beat up Man Bun for you?" Ben said into the phone after taking it away from his mom. "That's because you're going to come visit me," Ty said. "Oh, okay, then." Ben handed the phone back to his mother, and she laughed. "What was that about?" she asked Ben. "Apparently little bro has given me the invite to come see him." His mother smiled and nodded her head. She talked with Tyler for a little more, and he said he had to get through security and to his gate, and he only had an hour to do it. He would text her from the plane and call her when he landed in Shannon. 10 hours later, Tyler got off the plane in Ireland, and for the first time he let out a sigh of relief. He waited for his luggage at baggage claim and looked around for his driver. He was glad he'd opted to get a driver from Shannon to Ardmore, dealing with getting a rental once he was settled. The idea of driving the 2+ hours from Shannon International Airport to Ardmore was exhausting, and with the headache he knew he was going to have after that long flight, it would have been an excruciating endeavor. He had just pulled the first piece of his luggage off the carousel when he saw the driver with a sign with his name on it as T.S. Logan, another nickname his brother gave him when they were young, and Tyler had already known that he wanted to be a writer. He smiled at the inside joke and waved toward the man. He bowed his head in acknowledgement and walked over. Tyler took stock of the man, thinking he would be a great character in a book. He was tall with muscular arms, his black hair curled around the driver's cap he was wearing, and he had those dark blue eyes that were so iconic of Northern Ireland. "Hello, Mr. Logan. Let me help you with that." He grabbed the carry-on and one of the suitcases while Tyler waited for the third to come around again. "I just have one more. It weighs a lot, as it's full of books." "Sorry," Tyler said. "I'll be staying a month or so." "Very good. You'll find Ireland to be a wonderful place to explore." "Are you here for business or holiday?" "Both, actually. I'm here to finish the last of a book series and to get some rest and relaxation while I'm at it. Hopefully I go back home with dozens of ideas for my next book." "What kind of books do you write?" "Mostly horror. No gore, but creepy as fuck." Tyler paused. "Oh man, I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking." The driver with Finn on his name tag laughed. "A book that can scare the bejesus out of you without being violent or gory is always the best kind. And don't worry about the language. I've not only heard it all, I've probably said it all too." "Exactly. It's all about the atmosphere and what the main character is thinking. A character can scare a reader more by being scared than by having anything actually happen," Ty explained. "You're going to the Cliff House, correct?" "Yes, just for tonight. Tomorrow I'll go to the cottage and get settled in there. Can I get a rental car in Ardmore?" "You can get one directly from the hotel. They will have it brought to you," Finn said. "Fantastic. Thanks, Finn." "No problem. Why don't you close your eyes and rest? We won't be there for at least another hour and a half." "Good idea," Tyler said as he closed his eyes and drifted off. Tyler was jolted awake when the car pulled onto the cobblestone drive of Cliff House. "Are we here?" he mumbled groggily. "Yes, sir. Let me grab your bags and we can get you inside so that you can have a proper meal and a lie-in," Finn said while opening the trunk of the car. Tyler got out and hoisted his computer bag onto his shoulder and then checked to make sure that he hadn't left anything behind. The house really did sit on a cliff, and it was about the size of his house growing up. He estimated that it had at least 6 bedrooms. Tyler was sure it had once been a private home. The outside was made of stone and mortar, but the windows and doors were made of what he guessed was solid wood. He loved that the whole house was a soft gray, except for the doors and shutters, which were a bright blue. He couldn't tell what color the roof was, but it looked like a shiny black. Finn walked with him up to the door of the inn, carrying his luggage. Ty opened the door and Finn set it inside. Tyler, who had one of his books handy, signed it and handed it to Finn with a hefty tip inside. Finn thanked him and stood there until the proprietor of the hotel came to the desk to check Tyler in. Tyler looked around once he was inside and wasn't surprised by the coziness of the place. It looked just like a family home, except for the reception desk tucked neatly under the curved staircase that led up to the bedrooms. The walls inside were painted a soft gray blue, but the woodwork and banisters were a bright, clean white. The wood railings and fireplace surroundings, there were 2 of them, were stained a dark mahogany color that contrasted beautifully with the white trim and soft-colored walls. Once Tyler was in his room, he sent a text to his mother and to Ben, and then immediately crashed for the rest of the afternoon and slept right through the night. When he woke up the next morning, he was famished. His stomach rumbled, and he could feel it as well as hearing the sounds coming from his stomach. He wanted to eat and then get to the cottage. He ordered a traditional Irish breakfast sent up to his room with a pot of coffee. He hopped into the shower while he was waiting for his food, but he didn't bother to shave. Once he was dressed and repacked, his food arrived. He could smell the coffee from outside his door and practically scared the room service attendant when he shoved the door open. The poor girl jumped back, and Tyler apologized profusely for startling her. "That coffee smells so good. I could smell it from in here. Sorry I scared you. It was completely unintentional." "It's fine, sir. Let me pour you a cuppa, so you don't go terrifying any of the guests half to death," she grinned at him. Politely, Tyler said, "Yes, please." As she poured the coffee into a generously sized mug, she asked him what his plans were for the day. "I'm moving into the Chance cottage down the lane from the market on Tower Hill," Tyler told her. She looked at him quizzically. "You know that place is haunted, right?" "Well, it's a good thing I write horror stories then, isn't it?" Tyler said with a laugh. "Megan at reception said that you were a writer. Are you writing a book about Ireland?" "I'm just here to finish a book, and then I'll be heading back home. I needed to get away, you know?" "Well, our fair isle is perfect for that. We have more sheep than people in these parts. I'm okay with that." "Well, Mr. Logan, I will let you get to that breakfast so you can be on your way. Please call down at the front desk if you need anything." "I will, and thank you." He stopped to look at the name on her tag, Aubrey. Tyler ran through his email and messages while he shoveled food into his mouth. He was surprised by the lack of inquiries by the press, but he knew that stuff was fielded through his agent. He saw a few from friends and family members, most likely offering their condolences after the fiasco of his wedding, but he wasn't in the mood to read those quite yet. Tyler set his phone aside and picked up the local paper and flipped through it while he continued to eat. The scrambled eggs were perfectly fluffy, with a side of bacon and sausage. There was also a small bowl of beans, not quite like the baked beans that he had at home, but just as tasty. He slathered a scone with butter and strawberry preserves before topping it with a heaping spoonful of clotted cream. I think I just found my newest favorite food," he said to the empty room. When he was finished eating, he called downstairs to see if his rental car was ready. He made a point of telling them how wonderful the breakfast was, especially the coffee. After getting confirmation that his car was there, he grabbed his stuff and headed downstairs to check out. He got everything taken care of and hopped into the car. Thankfully, his request for GPS navigation was granted. He opened his Filofax and punched the address onto the car's touchscreen. He would be at the cottage in less than 10 minutes. He was ready to go, surprised by his feeling of excitement, but also wary that the hours alone in a strange place would force him to think about and deal with his feelings for Amy. He was anxious to get to the cottage and see what he would need to pick up in town. He really just wanted to get it done, get settled in, and be working before nightfall. He waved to Aubrey, who was outside opening the shutters, and drove out of the driveway onto New Line Road until he hit Main, and then onto Tower Hill Road until he came to the cottage set back from the road. The trip to the cottage took minutes, but he was rewarded with views of the ocean, green fields dotted with sheep, a sight that was so quintessentially Ireland, and the ruins of Declan's monastery. Tyler stepped out of the car in front of the cottage that would be his home for the next month. It was a soft yellowish orange on the outside, with white shutters and a bright blue door. The windows were paned with leaded glass inside. He guessed that they were at least 100 or so years old. The roof was made out of thatch, and there were 2 chimneys jutting out just above the arched roof line. If he had to come up with a word for it, Tyler would have to pick quaint, or, better yet, cozy. He walked up the path that led to the house and sneezed at the cloyingly sweet scents of the flowers in the front garden. He wasn't sure what most of them were, but he did see tulips, roses, honeysuckle, massive hydrangea bushes in colors he had never seen them in, and, of course, lavender. No matter where you went in Ireland, there would be lavender. He moved the stone where the key to the cottage would be hidden, and, to his relief, he found it right where his mother had said it would be. So far, everything was going great. He smiled to himself as he slid the key in and the lock smoothly disengaged. He opened the door, and a puff of dust smacked him right in the face, causing him to step back and break out into a fit of sneezing. Grabbing a tissue out of his pocket, Tyler covered his face and sneezed again. "Great," he mumbled as he rummaged through his bag for some more tissues. Apparently, the overseer of the property had been there, but the cleaning people hadn't. He cursed under his breath and blamed himself for patting himself on the back, convinced that he'd jinxed himself. He opened the door more slowly this time and peeked his head inside, a tissue held over his nose. He slowly made his way through the dimly lit cottage, opening windows. The light seeped in through the windows. Dust particles danced on the sunbeams, causing Tyler to sneeze again. Reaching into his pocket, he grabbed the last tissue from the small pack he always had on hand. He was going to have to get a handle on this dust. He knew from his many springs in San Francisco that repetitive and prolonged sneezing would give him the mother of all headaches. The fresh breeze coming in not only moved the dust around, but somehow gave him some relief. He knew he was going to need to get some cleaning supplies, but he needed to deal with some of this before he went off to the market to get what he needed. He found the broom closet, and inside were a dust-covered broom and dustpan, one of those that have the small brush attached. Tyler took them outside and shook the dust off them, and used the little brush to make sure that they were reasonably clean before he went inside. He swept the floor and used the little brush to push a thick layer of dust off of the countertops and furniture that wasn't covered by dingy white sheets. He went out to the rental car, noticing that it was a similar gray to the fog banks that rolled over San Francisco in the morning, to grab his suitcase and overnight bag, and he dragged them into the cottage. It took him more than a few minutes struggling with the last suitcase, the one filled with books. No wonder the airline charged him an overweight fee. He went out to the porch to rest and gave his mother a quick call. "Hey, Mom." "Where are you?" "At the cottage," he sneezed, "and it's as dusty as the desert after a windstorm." "Didn't they come and clean it for you?" "No, which is why I'm calling. What do you use to clean off ages of dust?" "Tyler, how do you keep your apartment clean?" his mother teased. Tyler grinned into the phone. "The cleaning lady?" "Oh, for the love of God and all things holy," his mother sighed. "Tyler, do you have something to write with?" "Well, duh, Mom," Tyler snickered. "Okay, write this down. You need a broom, mop, bucket, white vinegar, sponges, paper towels, and a good pair of heat-proof cleaning gloves." "Okay, I have that. And should I get a vacuum?" "Yes, and a good dust cloth. Or even better, get some cloth diapers. They work better and wash well." "Thanks, Mom. I guess I'm heading to the store. I'll call you later." "Do that. I'll email you directions on how to use all that stuff. Get a candle or two as well. It'll make you feel at home." "Sure, Mom," he chuckled. "I'm sure I can go into any store around here and get odeur de trafic." or essence of downstairs neighbor cooking curry, he joked before starting to sneeze again. Ty, don't be a smartass, Colleen laughed. Love you and call me later. Love you too, Mom, and I will, Tyler said before he hung up. He went back into the cottage and closed all the windows and locked up on his way out the door. He probably should pick up something for lunch while he was out, because there was no way he was using that kitchen today. He flicked on a light before he closed the door and headed for his car. As he opened the car door and turned back at the cottage, the outside looked like it belonged on a postcard, whereas the inside could have belonged in some unholy mansion ride that they have at amusement parks. It was dark, it smelled musty, and from what he could tell, the sheets over the furniture made it look like a haunted house. He kind of expected to see fake cobwebs and pictures of people where their eyes moved when he got back to the house. He was glad it was only 10:30 in the morning. He hoped to have the bulk of the cleaning done before dinner so that he could spend some time writing tonight. He didn't mind the cleaning. It would be a good distraction and give him a chance to get to know his new surroundings. After all, he had everything he needed, his laptop, his most used reference books, and he would have spent the day changing a cottage from creepily dusty to clean and tidy. He hoped he would be able to get a coffee maker while in town. He hadn't seen one in the cottage.
Jasmine, you gonna come in the pool? Come on, girl. Let's go swimming. Come on. Just gonna kick back on a lounge chair, huh? Oh, for those of you, if you haven't seen those little flip-flop things, those are clips. I got those as a gift from my coworkers. I hold my towel in place on the chair. Kind of awesome. They're at Walmart, at least during the summer in the warm climates during the summer. But come on, Jazz, let's go swimming. It's bath day. You stinky. Come on, let's go swimming. Let's go swimming. Get in. Get in here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come here. Jasmine, stop barking. No. Come on. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come on. Here. Okay, I'll get all the way up there. You don't even have to get wet. Come on. Come on. You know you want to. Jasmine. Come on. Come on. No pressure. Come on, Jasmine. Come on, I can't see where you are. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I couldn't get much closer. Come on. You don't even have to get in the water. Come on, it's right here. Good girl. Come on, you got it. Let's go. You're the poster child for anxiety. Come on, let's go. That's it? You're not coming? No? You give up? You get treats if you come in. Come in. No? All right. Okay, well, good effort, girl. Good effort. Are you sure? All right. I'm launching the boat then. Hi.